Once again, today we're going to talk about a lot of news. As always, there's plenty of news from America, Europe, Russia, Ukraine, and China. In other words, there's a huge amount of information that needs to be analyzed and discussed in order to understand what's really happening and how to act going forward. And as of today, we have, right now, as you know, there's a parade taking place at the cemetery, the Kremlin cemetery, as I call it, where I think I've put it correctly. Putin is showing this Chinese communist how he is capitulating to China. So right now, you could say that as of today, Russia is capitulating to China. And now the future fate of Russia will depend on this so-called Chinese communist leader. And this once again confirms that Trump is now directly dealing with China, because the main influence on the war with Ukraine is, of course, China. It was China that pushed Putin into this war. China is interested in this war. It is interested in weakening both Russia and Europe. And of course, China understands that the United States of America will be involved here. So it's as if all these resources are being spent on this slaughter, as President Trump calls it. And as of today, Trump wrote on Truth Social, let's read it, this is the latest news, that negotiations between Russia and Ukraine are ongoing. Ideally, the US is calling for a 30-day unconditional ceasefire. We hope that the ceasefire will be upheld and that both countries will be held accountable for respecting the sanctity of these direct negotiations. If the ceasefire is not observed, the US and its partners will impose new sanctions. Thousands of young soldiers are dying every week, and everyone must act to stop this. Yes, the United States of America. Yes, the United States of America as well. As president, I will be committed to ensuring peace between Russia and Ukraine together with the Europeans, and it will be a lasting peace. The ceasefire should ultimately lead to the conclusion of a peace agreement. This can be done very quickly and will be available immediately if my services are needed. Thank you for your attention to this issue. So there is now a proposal to halt hostilities for 30 days. Of course, much will depend here on the terrorist Putin. This is his demonstration, his parade, and so on, with the Chinese. This shows his aggressiveness. Well, we are saying that at this moment, Zelensky and Putin need to sit down at the negotiating table so that these 30 days will eventually be extended to 60, 90, and so on. And Trump has a mission to put pressure on China and to finish off this communist China. These current tariff wars, as you know, now in Switzerland, I believe on Saturday, representatives of the United States of America and China will almost meet. I think further decisions regarding tariff agreements will be made. But undoubtedly, those negotiations will not go without addressing the situation in Ukraine, because Trump understands that the primary source of this energy, this negative energy being imposed on Putin, is definitely China. That's why Trump will take action. Hello, Oleg. Hello, Alexander Leonidovich. The US has imposed sanctions on China. Yes, for now, it's 145%. You know, there's the number 4 in there, which is considered a kind of deadly mark for China. In China, the number 4 is associated the way 13 is for us, just so you understand, and it's present there. And of course, these tariffs that Trump has imposed on China right now, they're not actually sanctions at this point. So as Alexander Leonidovich writes, it hasn't reached the point of sanctions with China yet. I think now, after this meeting that will take place in Switzerland on Saturday, there will be further actions. Nadia Zapisotka, good afternoon. Glad to see you. Good times to good people, and death to the enemies of Ukraine. Dear writes, yes, I also agree. It would be better to finally crush this Russia and that Satanist Putin. You can't come up with any other name for him except terrorist Satanist. Thank you for the resonant description of the event's location. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. The main source is the return of people to universal human values. Well, of course, Trump is precisely characterized by his morality and values, and he doesn't like it when people are killed or any kind of war, because he believes that any relationship can always be resolved through economic means. Therefore, his actions are accordingly. And the fact that Trump is called or equated with Putin is an absolute lie, because they are complete opposites. That is, it's like a 180-degree difference, without a doubt. Because if, for Putin, seizing foreign territories is about maintaining his dictatorial power, for Trump, the issue is to stop the war and make America the best economy in the world. And an alliance with Ukraine is actually very beneficial for Ukraine. Please, when you write me questions, also mention where you are from. That way it will be clearer how to answer your question. Rai Kapoor, greetings, glad to see you. So as of today, we have a situation where this 30-day ceasefire is supposed to be on the horizon, meaning no hostilities. Of course, here, We can only speculate about what Putin is planning to do. I would, at this point, split the situation 50-50 because there is definitely pressure on Putin. Trump is trying to squeeze as much as possible out of Russia by lowering fuel prices. Right now, as you know, a barrel costs $54. So I'm sure that actions are being taken here to try to stop this bloodshed. After all, I saw a video of Trump visiting Russia before. He and Putin are friends, but Trump could never be a friend to Putin. During his first term, he stopped Nord Stream, gave Ukraine javelins, and did not legally recognize Crimea as Russian. So, in fact, he is an absolute opponent of Putin because Putin is a terrorist and Trump is a moralist. And Trump is a pragmatic person who wants to increase the economy for his country, achieve growth, and leave behind a great future for America. To preserve freedom of speech, freedoms of society, and economic freedom. That was Trump's goal. For Putin, that's not even a question. For Putin, the main thing is to stay in power by his terrorist methods. Greetings from Kyiv. Thank you for writing from there. And please let us know if there is shelling in Ukraine right now. And if there is, which regions are being targeted. Warm greetings, Mr. Oleg. Halina Timchenko, welcome. The Territorial Recruitment Center is very active right now. It feels like something serious is brewing. Well, this dictatorial behavior of Zelensky, definitely, it only confirms the way he governs the country. That is, when it comes to the war, he created problems for Ukraine, did nothing, I would say, in terms of the economy, and did not prepare the country. And when the war broke out, his close friendship with communists, Democrats, and Satanists led to this situation where the war has been going on for a fourth year. It's quiet in Odessa, writes Raika Purso. Thank God. Kyiv is not quiet yet. Well, just imagine, if we now switch to those 30 days, as Kellogg says, there's a great chance that afterwards it will be much, easier to extend it. Alexander Volodymyrovich, for Trump to achieve this, he needs to put pressure on the country's authorities so that they address human rights issues. Well, I'm sure this is my opinion. You can write your own, that nevertheless, Trump let Zelensky know in the Vatican that, first of all, you signed all the agreements, because if not, sanctions will be imposed on you and your entire clique immediately. And another point is, well, I'm still sure that he's against Zelensky running in the elections at all. And that will be the next issue. Right now, Trump isn't raising this issue because, well, his main concern at the moment is with Zelensky. Let Zelensky stay there for now and take those steps to stop the fighting, because every day counts. The American side doesn't want to talk about any elections right now, and they won't. So after the fighting stops, believe me, information will immediately be released that will make it possible to identify real candidates for the upcoming presidential and parliamentary elections. Greetings from Kazakhstan. Yes, welcome. I understand the language a little. Well, that's actually not bad. The more languages you understand, the better it is for you. Thank you. Adok. Adok writes, greetings. Thank you, friends from Kazakhstan. Yes, I have also been to Kazakhstan many times. Almaty is a wonderful place with very pleasant people. In general, you could say that throughout the entire CIS, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, people themselves wanted freedom and thought that if they separated, they would immediately become free. It turns out that you have to fight for freedom, and it turns out that any kind of freedom, as they say, is like a bloodstained tree. Sooner or later, people have to fight for it. At the very least, in the media space, as we are doing with you. So spread the information so that it can also reach a wider audience and have a greater impact. Yes, here, glory to Ukraine. God protect the lives and health of the Ukrainian armed forces soldiers. Yes, that's why it's so important right now to stop this chaos, these hostilities at this moment. And you could say Trump has accomplished his first task. He pressured Zelensky, and at this moment, well, the agreement has been halted. Well, basically, the economic agreement regarding these mineral resources was obtained and ratified under pressure, of course, from the threats of Zelensky and Trump in the Verkhovna Rada, almost unanimously, or maybe even unanimously, they voted for it. That is to say, it shows how easily all of them can be influenced by the United States of America and by Trump in particular. Because just the threat that you won't get a visa immediately produces results. So when people talk about sovereignty and so on, well, with that parliament and that president, there is no sovereignty at all. No, inside the country, a person is not free and lives under complete dictatorship. No, Ukraine is also not an independent actor at this moment. And in fact, in alliance with America, this subjectivity will only increase. Ole, what do you think about what the leftist Merz said, that this weekend there is a high probability of a 30-day truce? In your opinion, is that really the case? Well, I definitely agree with you that Merz is a leftist. You know, he comes from BlackRock. That is, it's a mafia-like structure of the globalists. And what he is saying, at the moment, very often their words and actions are completely different. So at this point, we can say that this alliance, the European Socialist Alliance, is interested in the war. And the fact that Merz barely managed to get enough votes to be elected chancellor once again shows that he does not have a vote of confidence from his own people, from the Germans. Olya writes, "Good evening, everyone. Greetings from Chernihiv." Greetings. Boris, tell us, are they not shooting at you over there? Glory to Ukraine. Alexander Volodymyrovich, we need peace because people are already at their limit. I agree with you. And this is exactly where our activity comes in. Please, if you use the X platform, it's very easy to share information and reach out to Trump. We need to keep saying that Ukrainians support Trump. Please, we want peace. We need a ceasefire. He is currently acting through China and will influence the terrorist Putin because Russia is a vassal of China. There's no other way to put it. You can never force the president of another country to do something. It's simply outrageous. What difference does it make to anyone if someone is a drug addict, if the people elected him? Antok, do you understand what the problem is? The people always end up choosing the worst option from a few bad ones. And there is a reason for these consequences. The fact that people make such choices doesn't mean the people themselves are bad. It's that the system is designed in such a way that the same people always stay in power. And until you choose a leader like Javier Milei, for example, in Argentina, who will drastically reduce the size of the state, give freedom to business, allow a free market, and until the state takes its harmful hands off the economy or directly off the individual, nothing will change. That's why we support the idea that future leaders, whoever is elected in any country, should be chosen based on the principle of reducing the size of the state apparatus. This is exactly what Trump is doing right now here in America. In other words, what is he doing? He is working on debureaucratization. Until debureaucratization takes place in any country, nothing will change. Plus, the smallest possible taxes, absolutely transparent, along with reduced regulation, because businesses in every country are under heavy pressure. And the laws that are being passed now are adopted, by the way, without an expiration date. Any laws, according to Elon's proposal, should actually be adopted for a specific period and then either extended or repealed. But that's not how it works now. Technology is moving forward, but the system, communist, socialist, still remains. That's the problem. Why did the EU start playing along, pandering to Trump with these games? Trump broke them. Without a doubt, Trump is breaking them over his knee. The fact that Wentz stated that you have neither freedom of speech nor there is no democracy at all in Europe. Because if you can cancel elections in Romania through the courts or put pressure on an opposition party like, the Alternative for Germany party, or imprison Le Pen in France, this has nothing to do with anything. But America has now, so to speak, fought for this justice. And Trump has been won back a second time, or you could even say a third time, because his second term, the 2020 election, was rigged, that's for sure. A ceasefire is now beneficial for Putin, but also for Trump, as if he stopped the war. Ukraine needs support in words, with weapons, and with actions against the Russian Federation, including sanctions. Yes, I support you. Those are absolutely correct words. Here it turns out that, as if with Trump, there is no pause. He is putting maximum pressure on China and Russia. As for Zelensky, he has already pushed him aside, so now only Putin and China are left. What is Trump doing right now? But it is absolutely necessary that Zelensky, as always, doesn't make any sudden moves to the side again, like he did with Trump so many times. That's why I'm sure that Trump will organize and support the idea that Zelensky should actually run in the elections. In other words, he will now allow him to take a peaceful path, that is to stop the fighting. But after that, it will be impossible for Zelensky to cooperate with him in the future. He has let Trump down so many times that clearly, I think things will only go in that direction. Greetings from Odessa, writes Yulia Sakno. Greetings, Yulia. Rai Kapoor. What do you expect from the people if in 30 years we haven't had honest elections? There hasn't even been a real choice. The choice was always between bad and very bad. Absolutely true. I agree, Rai Kapoor. That's for sure, because Ukraine has always been caught between two pincers. On one side were the pincers of Yakov Bistrov, and on the other, Soros, the Democrats, and the Socialists. And at this point, it can be said that for these 30 years, Ukraine has been a colony of the Democratic Party, a democratic socialist Satanist party that nearly destroyed America, and likewise Ukraine. Odessa is Ukraine. To beat